I'm trying to get more into getting my attention span back. So I've been watching more movies again, right? Trying to get into some popular TV shows I've missed out over on the years that apparently have been the greatest shows and the movies that have come out in the past decade. I recently saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the first time sober. Because I didn't even want, I got the movie, I bought the movie on my YouTube account, I think like 3 years ago, and I forgot I bought it, so I have it. And I was like, oh shit, I have a movie I bought. Oh fuck. And I remember kind of seeing it, but I don't really remember too much of it. But I recently watched it, right? And in case you don't know, it's a QT movie. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie. And I watched it, and I was trying to get into it. I liked it. I thought it was very well put together. I wasn't expecting like a lot of violence or nothing like that. Like, that's not my goal when I watch a Quentin Tarantino movie. But I expected something a little bit more captivating. But don't get me wrong, when I say this is like holding it to a standard that's like, I love Quentin Tarantino movies. Like, this is holding to a pretty, like, it's still a really, really good movie. But then one thing I do is like when I watch something and I feel like it's a movie that's highly heralded or highly shit on, and it doesn't match up with what I saw, I always go online, look at the reviews, and like, am I the outlier here, or am I more the masses of how I view this? And a good bit of people are saying this is his, like, I watched a Rewatchables podcast where they do movie reviews. They're like, this may be the best Quentin Tarantino movie ever. One was definitive. Some say this is Leo's best performance and all this stuff. And I don't know, the Leo stuff could be true. I'm not really into breaking down actors' best performance and stuff. But to put it simply, people are saying this is like Quentin Tarantino's best one, maybe second best movie at worst. I'm like, I don't even think it's like in the top 3 or 4. But I think that's more of a testament to his great catalog, even though very limited. He's not just making movies every other year. And also, just a side note, what I've noticed. You notice how movies that are made today, you have to really have established, you kind of have to be grandfathered in to be able to make 2.5 hour or longer movies. Because I was thinking like, man, this shit's like 2 hours. But with certain directors, they're going to keep it good. That's why, like, I actually like longer movies are typically a good indicator that they are very well put together, that the studio is like, hey, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want, because you have delivered and made us a lot of money. I've noticed with that, like Martin Scorsese in the past, like 8 to 10, Wolf of Wall Street's almost 3 hours. I watched the old movie from the 90s, Casino. That shit's fucking like almost 3 hours. What's the other ones? But yeah, there's Irishman's like over 3 hours. I think Goodfellas is like 2.5 hours or so. But you have to really establish something to warrant making 2.5 hour long movies. But if it's come from a good director, it's typically, oh shit, this is going to be some good shit, right? And I know it's like only Quentin Tarantino, Scorsese, Paul Thomas Anderson, these well-acclaimed directors that have delivered over and over and over again, are going to be the only ones we see making these movies. I was looking through IBDM catalog, and I was just curious, like, is there any recent Leo movies? Leo did a movie, a Martin Scorsese movie at that. I forgot what the fucking name was. It was like, it looked like this boring period piece jumbo. The bitch was 3 hours and 20 minutes. From 2023, I think. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to see that. But but it just goes to show, like, like, there's no new director coming up that they're having. There's no, like, newer person that's has some success in the past 5 or 10 years that are like, oh, yeah, here's a 3-hour fucking movie. You got this. No, they're not doing it. But neither here nor there. But overall, I think what I thought about the movie is that it was good. So when I'm, like, saying about this, it's not that the movie's bad. To me, it's just not exceptional. It's not exceptionally entertaining like most of his other movies. And I will say, a movie that I actually think... I'm not a big Kill Bill fan. I'll be honest. Like, I don't really love the Kill Bill movies. I think they're fine. I would say this is probably better than Kill Bill. Kill Bill is actually not... I don't think it's really that great. But apparently that's like people's favorite movies from him. I get the whole like story, but it's very well put together. It's a good story. It's interesting, but it's also kind of The action's cool, but the story's kind of I really think his best movies are... I think Pulp Fiction's obviously in the top 2 or 3. Django Unchained is in the top 2 or 3. And this may sound weird because I know a lot of people have not really loved this movie, but I like the simplicity of it and how in such a small configuration of a set, you can get so much action and so much going on. I think The Hateful Eight might be my favorite movie from him. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's dragged out. It's just a lot of talking and all this stuff. But I think when you think about how impressive it is to do all that dialogue for it to mean something, I think that's the most impressive. It's literally on most of the movies in this one log cabin. That's what makes it fascinating. But for me, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think Brad Pitt's amazing. I think, honestly, he's that really like, oh shit, like if you just kind of looked at Brad Pitt in a certain way, like that really solidified, I think, the whole Hall of Fame package. But, I didn't really care for the whole, like, the Sharon Tate, the Manson stuff. Like, it really felt like that was forced in there. Like, I really felt like they could have just made up a cooler version of it. It felt very, I don't know. It didn't really feel like, I just didn't feel like that part really hit with it. But, neither here nor there. Also, another thing I've caught up with. I recently started watching what some say is the greatest show in the past 15 or 20 years, or possibly the history of television. I don't know if that's hyperbolic. It's where you only hear about shows after the series has already ended. But Succession, which apparently is loosely based off Bernie Madoff. Loosely, but it's not really, but that's where a lot of the inspiration is from. That type of family, and how when two sons are fighting for, taking over when the father retires and stuff. I'm only 3 episodes in. I think it's pretty good. I wouldn't say, I don't really see it being the best show ever, but, it's good. I like the storyline. I'm very into, finance and stuff like that, Wall Street and how that stuff works. So, like, it's interesting because you kind of at least see an entertaining version of certain things about how, like, when a CEO takes over, how much that can impact the stock price when your own son takes over and it tanks. You don't realize how much in debt a lot of these companies actually are, and then they do a merging deal with someone else that pay off other debt so they can get into more debt with another company. So it's almost like the cycle of just buying time.